You're listening to Small Business Conversations with PKJ Podcast, where your host, Phyllis Johnson of PKJ Consulting, interviews entrepreneurs and small business owners on their passion, their knowledge, and their journey they took to start and grow their business. This podcast is meant to inspire, inform, and empower others interested in becoming successful. Are you ready to start on your own journey to success?
Greetings and welcome to another edition of Small Business Conversations with PKJ. I'm your host, Phyllis Johnson of PKJ Consulting, where we help those who have a strong passion understand and gain the knowledge needed to help them through their entrepreneurial journey. Picture it. You gather up the courage to take the leap of faith to leave your stable job with the benefits, cushy office chair, and guaranteed paycheck to join a friend in their company to help them with their dream. However, only a few months into the position, you realize that sometimes business and friends just don't mix, and things don't work out, and you part ways with their company. On top of that, your husband just left for a 6-month deployment with the Air Force, and oh, did I mention the 3 kids at home? What do? Do you go back to a stable position, right? That's the logical and smart thing to do, right? Well, not always. In this situation, my guest for today, Shauna Armitage, got the Moxie to follow her passion and start her company called Making Moxie. Making Moxie is a community for female entrepreneurs to share their stories and insights while guiding one another in growing successful businesses. Shauna is also the mother of 1 boy and 2 little girls with 1 on the way. She is making Moxie in life and in business so her children will see that they have the power to make an impact with a little grit and a lot of determination. Shauna is a small business strategist for solopreneurs and small business owners who are ready to grow and succeed. She acts as a lead strategist or part-time CMO, working closely with brand leaders to strategize for growth while working closely with them on execution and accountability. So without further ado, let's welcome Shauna to the show. How are you doing this evening, Shauna?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing great. Thanks for asking. So I did the introduction. So tell me a little bit more about the passion that you have behind your company.
One reason that I found that I was really clashing with my friend / boss is that we really had different ideas about how people should be treated, about how the clients should be treated, and about how we should be treating different issues that came up in our client work. And I am always for a more intimate experience. I become friends with my clients. They're not just a paycheck to me. And that is really the driving force behind what I do, because it was really important to me to be doing a job or be in a business where I could have that kind of relationship with the people that I was working with and really be involved in their growth in a serious way.
Perfect. So what she said was, you go to another company and you're working with someone, but if you don't have the same alignment in your goals, things are going to be, kind of different. And so what she decided was she really wanted to work one-on-one with women to help them succeed, and definitely have a friendship so that she would be able to interact with them better. So how did you get the knowledge to start your business? Did you go to college? Did you read books? What was your, kind of background?
Probably just experience. I have 2 degrees. I have a degree in history and a degree in professional writing. I went to be a teacher and then decided once I had the degree that I didn't want to do that. And then I went back to school for professional writing and found that actually once I had the degree, getting interviews for a job was horrible. At that time, 2011, 2012, I couldn't even get anyone to take a look at my resume. So I started freelancing. So I started writing and doing sales pages. And it took a couple of years before I realized that what I was doing was actually marketing. So I learned more about that. And the friend whose company I joined, it was actually him that really got me into that, where I had to get HubSpot certified to work in his business, and I really just learned more about the marketing process and how businesses did marketing differently, and I fell in love with it.
That is pretty amazing. So she had the educational background and was trying to go, get a job like all of us. But in the meantime, she was an accidental entrepreneur, still trying to find different ways to make money and realize that she could actually do this on her own. That's pretty awesome. So tell me more about your journey. Everyone has a story. So tell me about the journey that pretty much led you here today to be on this podcast.
Well, I think that you covered a lot of it with my background from leaving my job to work with my friend. And then that really didn't work out because we weren't in alignment with how we wanted to treat clients. So he actually let me go from the business, which was crazy. I've never been fired from anything in my life. And it came at a really tough time for me. It was when my husband was about to deploy. I had 3 young children at home. And for anyone who's a military spouse, you can understand how difficult it is to get a job because you don't know how long you're going to be in any particular area. So employers don't look at you the same way, knowing that they don't know when you're going to get up and leave. So finding a job that paid enough, that wanted to have me, that I could afford childcare for my kids, it wasn't very realistic. So for me, for most people, it would seem like getting a 9-to-5 would be the right thing to do. For me, it was much more realistic to go out on my own and start my own business.
Wow. So instead of just doing what everyone else would do, she realized that she just had to hustle hard enough to take care of her kids. That's amazing. And me being here in Nevada, we have the Air Force here. So I definitely understand, people kind of move around a lot. And so you're looking at a resume of someone who may have lived in 5 different states in, 5 years. It really is wherever they decide to send you. So I definitely understand, how an employer may say, we like this person, but we're not quite sure if we want to hire them if they're not going to be here long term. So great. So now that we understand your background, let's dive a little bit deeper. Tell me more about Making Moxie. What is a day like for you?
Day can be very different from one day to the next for me. So I have young children. I usually get up around 5 a.m. and I'll either take client calls because I'm in Colorado and a lot of my clients are on the East Coast. So I could take client calls then or check emails or just really dig in on some administrative stuff. My kids are usually up around 7 and then we eat breakfast, we get ready for school, I go drop everyone off, I come back, and that's when I really dig into the work that I do for my clients. So I act as a consultant and I also act as a part-time CMO. So that requires doing extra things for the clients, whether it's helping them with their graphics or setting up social media or working on their funnels or doing some outreach for them for local community events, whatever it is that the client needs specifically for the strategy that we've built for them. So that's how most of my afternoon goes, is either out and about at networking events, or it's really digging in on the client work for specific tasks for the clients. My afternoons can also be spent doing work with my contributors. So for the online publication, instead of writing marketing content, which I thought would be kind of boring, I really wanted the website, instead of just to be my resume or my cover letter, to be a place where female entrepreneurs came together and talked about their struggles and their businesses and things that they were doing to see growth. So I also spend time coming up with topics and editing their articles and getting all of those things published. And then at 3:30, I got to stop. I've got to go start picking up my nuggets. And then we have after school things like swimming and dance and parent teacher conferences and all that good stuff. And then a lot of times I'll go back to work after they are in bed for the night for another hour or two to get a couple more things done for the day.
Wow. So it sounds like you are a very busy entrepreneur. So, she's working throughout the day wearing 17 different hats, and then she pauses to be a mother and make sure, her kids are taken care of. And then just like most entrepreneurs, as soon as those kids hit the haystack, we kind of pick back up and get started. I definitely understand that with me having a daughter, it's okay, everything's done, but work never really stops for someone who works for themselves. So what is the ultimate goal for your company?
The ultimate goal for my company is to make me successful. And I say that because I feel like I've defined success differently than a lot of people have. When I talk about my consulting and my client work, I've worked with coaches before, and I flat out had a coach tell me that I love what you do, but if you're not going to create some kind of course or some kind of passive income product, you're not going to be able to hit that next level of revenue, or you're not going to be able to scale, or you're going to hit that point where you can only take so many one-on-one clients, so you're going to be limiting your income. And I kind of sat with that for a little while, and I was like, you know what, I'm okay with that, because I think we really glorify hitting the 6 figures or hitting the 7 figures or making all of this money. But to me, I don't need to do that. I love the one-on-one work that I do with my clients. That's very fulfilling to me. It makes me happy. And, my kids are healthy and happy, and we have enough money for vacations. And that's what my business is for me, is that it allows me to define success for myself and not trying to follow a model that somebody else says is successful.
That's really big. I always tell someone, what is your goal? And we always want someone else to say, well, you're supposed to do this. A lot of people are consultants or coaching, but they all have different goals. So I like how you spoke on, as a consultant or a coach, we're supposed to create a course and build a click funnel and follow this path. But if that's not really what you want to do, which in the beginning of the interview, you talked about what drove you was you wanted to have one-on-one situations. You wanted to have friendships. So with a course type situation, you'll have a lot of different people coming on, but it's hard to build that one-on-one relationship with people. So it's amazing for you to follow your passion and stick with what you want to do, because ultimately you have to be happy to keep going, because you have those tough times where you are doubting yourself. And if you're not really waking up every day and loving what you do, it kind of becomes more of a task job situation. So tell me about a big win or success story that you have.
I think that I've got wins with all the different clients that I've had. Each one has its own unique little success story, because no engagement that I have with one business or one individual is ever the same. For me, my biggest win is just having the strength and the determination to go out on my own, and instead of trying to freelance or pick up little jobs here and there, the biggest win for me was Making Moxie, was having the determination to step up and do it for myself.
That is big. So we always talk about the big wins, but tell me about a time where you had a big loss and you learned a lesson from it.
Making Moxie story really was my big loss. I left this stable job that paid my bills, and, I had set amount of hours every week and pretty flexible schedule for my kids. And I thought that I was getting into my dream job working with this friend of mine. And the longer that we worked together, it really became apparent that he just wanted me to do the work. He didn't value my opinion when I said things weren't working very well. He didn't want to hear that. And that was super frustrating, thinking that I was coming into a position where I was really going to be valued, but I actually wasn't. So that was a person who was a mentor to me, who I really got me into the realm of marketing in the first place. And when I was fired, it wasn't just losing a job. It wasn't just losing a paycheck. It was losing a part of my identity. And I wasn't really sure about if I had what it took to do this kind of business on my own.
Wow. So you discovered that you did have what it took to do it. So before I go on to my best section of favorites, I'm sure the listeners want to know, were you able to salvage that friendship?
I was not. That was a really hard time for us, and there was no desire at that point to salvage the friendship. It was kind of just cutting ties. We don't work together anymore, and that was the end of it. So it was an unfortunate end to the friendship, but it's really what I needed personally to grow.
Understandable. I always say, when you're going into business with friends, be careful. A lot of times we love our friends for certain aspects. Maybe they're fun, or maybe they're hardworking, or maybe they're outgoing. But if we don't have the same goals and we haven't sat down and really worked everything out, I know with my business, people say, should I have a partnership because they have more money? But you have to really think long term with that person. And unfortunately, you lost a friendship, but we always outgrow people at some point. I say the friends that we had in kindergarten, if we were all still friends with all our friends in kindergarten, we wouldn't have room to make new friends. And I'm sure through your journey at Making Moxie, you've made amazing friendships with your clients that you wouldn't have made if you were still at the company with the other person. So to me, even though that's a loss, it's a lesson learned in a whole bunch of friendships gained. So now we're going to move on to another section where I call favorites. And this is just kind of a way for people to maybe get inspired by something else that someone is listening to or reading, or a favorite website. So Shauna, do you have a favorite book that has inspired you?
A favorite book? I get these kinds of questions a lot, and I think that people are always expecting some kind of like business book. But the books that I really like to read are more historical fiction. I really like hearing the stories of powerful and inspiring women in history and their lives and what they did. So those are the kinds of things that I like to read when I actually have a few minutes to sit down and read.
And I definitely understand that. And I agree, we all have our, people are supposed to say Think and Grow Rich and those type of books. But, your favorite book could be something way outside that just may make you take up your mind off of all the business stuff. So do you have a favorite website or podcast?
I have a favorite website. My favorite website is probably Amazon, if I'm being honest with you, because with how crazy it is running a business and running a big family, Amazon and 2-day Prime shipping is how I get all of my stuff done. Yes. So from anything like Christmas gifts to my son just recently joined the swim team. So instead of going out, I ordered like swim trunks and towels and goggles. So yeah, I would say Amazon, to the chagrin of my husband, is probably my favorite website.
That is awesome. I love Amazon Prime. It's one of those things that I would just order a bunch of stuff and then I have to take a pause from it.
Yes.
Because it's easy just to kind of go down that rabbit hole. Well, great. So we're going to wrap it up, but I really want to go over some tips that Shauna discussed today. One of the things that she really went on is your passion can help you make friends. If you have a coaching or consulting business, you get to know your clients on a deeper level than just some kind of surface thing. You get to really understand who they are. The second thing was she really talked about business partnerships. She was working with this friend of hers, and we have to always make sure that we're in alignment with our goals when we have a partnership. The other thing that she really talked about was determining your goals. What is your success story? Don't have someone else tell you what it's going to be. She decided what works for her. And so now she's successful today with Making Moxie. So Shauna, I really want to thank you for being here today. If anyone wants to get in contact with you, how would they be able to reach you?
Let's see. Making Moxie is on Instagram, Pinterest, and Facebook at I am Making Moxie. And you can always find us at makingmoxie.com. I'd love people to go there. You can find my email there. And there's also just lots of amazing thought leadership from other women who are just doing the damn thing. And it's really nice to be inspired by their stories and their insights on how to grow a business.
Well, perfect. Well, now you know how to reach her. And I want to thank my listeners today to listening to another episode of Small Business Conversations with PKJ. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to Small Business Conversations with PKJ. Want to learn more or listen to prior episodes? Go to pkjpodcast.com. Please tune in to the next episode where we will interview another amazing guest on their passion, knowledge, and journey to success.